guys, welcome back.
Did it again.
It's empty. No, I don't want your water.
Kill yourself with sugar. It's not mine. It's not mine. Never mind.
Nobody knows what you just said. Exactly. Welcome back. We got a good one. Well, I thought it was a good one. I was watching it the other day, and that's why I brought it up. Underrated actors. We've talked about them briefly before. I was watching Back to the Future the other day because it's on Netflix and it's just one of my favorite movies to watch. Anytime. I think Back to the Future 2 might be my favorite. I don't know. The trilogy is really good all around. And people always talk about Michael J. Fox's performance, Christopher Lloyd's performance, Crispin Glover, even though he's only in Back to the Future.
Mm-hmm.
They always talk about their performance, and obviously with Michael J. Fox and Leah Thompson, Elizabeth Shue, Christopher Lloyd, they're playing different versions of themselves throughout the trilogy. But one person who always gets left out that they probably don't talk about enough is Thomas F. Wilson. He plays Biff. And he plays many different versions of Biff. From Old West Biff, Teenager Biff. Mind you, he was probably in his 20s when he was doing this. But then again, you can't say anything because when I was younger and I saw Grease for the first time, I thought all those folks were in their teens and they were not. But watching those movies, Biff, Thomas F. Wilson, he plays Biff in the Old West. Older, where Biff is just an old man version, and then the teen years, I don't know what I was going to say, the robotic Biff, but he's really not robotic Biff, he's just enhanced Biff, yeah. I guess. But none of them are the same.
Nope.
They're all very different, and he brings something different to each version of Biff.
Which is definitely why I can see why your favorite version would be, or your favorite movie would be Back to the Future 2, seeing as how he plays 3 different versions of Biff in one movie. Well, not 3 different versions, but like he plays the grandson Biff, which is the young semi-robotic one, the old man Biff, and then he goes back and he plays his younger self, like the same way he played him in in the original movie, in the original Back to the Future. He's that one. That's how he does his thing.
He also old man Biff, the enhanced, the regular teenage Biff, but he also plays the version of Biff that has gambled so much on one everything, and he has his own hotel.
Yeah.
4 different versions of Biff in one movie. And they're all different. And that's the crazy thing about it. And then there's that one scene where old man Biff and younger Biff are in the car talking about the sports almanac. So he's just playing opposite himself, but of course this was back in the 80s. So you can... When the DVDs came out, they try to make it a little bit better so you couldn't see where the split is when he's talking to himself. But it's just him playing opposite of himself. And for him to react to himself with no one there, or just a tennis ball or something of where to look, that really doesn't... Come on.
I also thought the fact that technically in the first movie, he also played like 3 different like versions of himself, because before Marty goes back in time, you get the Biff that won everything, and he's like the pompous guy. He's
Wait, which version? Which Back to the Future are you talking about?
the original Back to the Future.
Okay.
Because he's
well, he's just the businessman that you know that him and Marty McFly work. Well, I mean, George McFly, my mistake.
Yeah.
Work in the same spot because he says, "Oh, come on, you gotta."
And then
do this for me, and I'll hand it in, and blah blah blah.
And then he goes back in time, and you get young Biff. And then when Marty goes back to the future, then you actually have the Biff who actually has to wax George McFly's car, and that's technically three different versions of him because he doesn't have the same machismo or anything that he had before he went.
And what's great about that Biff that has to wax, and I think that's what I like about Thomas F. Wilson when he plays that Biff. Hey Marty, like he's all excited. He's like, "Hey George, look, your new book is here. Hey Marty," right? And then at the ending of Back to the Future, Doc shows up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he takes Marty and Jennifer, and Biff comes running out, and he's like, "Hey Marty, did you see these business cards that I had made?" Right? And then he stops and he sees the flying DeLorean. All of a sudden, that switch happens. He's like, "Why does this look so familiar? What the hell is going on here?" You know, you get old Biff is still there, but you have he's all excited and shit, and it's just really funny. Oh, I said it. Oh no, we're at a PG-13 level now. Oh my god.
Oh man, it's so great though. You know,
And he's such a good sport because of all the times that he lands in manure.
I know we're not covering him, but I was thinking about it while we were talking. In the second movie is also where Michael J. Fox plays like almost the exact same amount of like versions of himself because he plays the one who actually goes into the future. Then he plays his own son.
His own daughter.
His own daughter. He plays himself as an old man talking to his boss.
You know what I like? Like, don't get me wrong. But I enjoy Flea's cameo in Back to the Future. And I know I just got the deer in the headlights from people who are watching going, "Who's Flea?" The guitarist for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He's been in so many movies just making cameos. He was in Son-in-Law with Pauly Shore. He played the tattoo artist. He was in The Chase with Charlie Sheen. And he just played, just one of the guys in the monster trucks who tries to ram him off the road. What's the matter, McFly? Chicken? And Flea, I mean, when people who are in bands but Flea hasn't tried to do more than what he knows he can do. I'm sure if he gets a call like, "Hey, you want a cameo in this movie?" He's like, "Yeah, okay."
Now you just got me thinking about Back to the Future #2. Was it Biff that said it this time in Back to the Future where he's like, "What's the matter, McFly? Chicken?"
Yeah. That's at the beginning because then his buddy's got the sound effects and you hear the and they're outside and Marty's on the hoverboard and it goes over the water and his buddy's like, "Come on! You know hoverboards don't work on water!" But Mike, why would you tell him that if you're trying to chase him? Because then he knows. Obviously, they don't know he's from, he's a different version of Marty, but...
Well, because they think he's the son at that
exactly.
point. Do you remember, did they ever say what the son's name was? Was he a junior, or was he like Marty McFly Jr.?
Old man Biff said Marty Sr.
Oh, okay.
You're Marty's kid. No, McFly, because they always go by McFly. Except for George. They know George McFly. But I want to say he's a junior because in the coffee house scene, McFly, no, not him, Senior, Marty Senior, you old man. Yeah, boyhead. Hey, Grandpa, and I like how Biff yells at himself. And he's like, hey, Grandpa, I thought I told you not to come in here anymore. I don't know why I tried to throw a New York accent at the end of that, but I did.
Let me just say,
And it failed at it.
it's we're not talking about him in this particular episode, but since he's connected, I think I actually like Crispin Glover the most when he's at the beginning of the movie, when he's the father, those thick glasses, and he's like, that's like the funniest, one of the funniest parts of the entire movie is just watching him laugh at some stupid crap and think it's hilarious. I love Crispin Glover.
He's good. Crispin Glover he's a character actor, but he's really good. I loved him in Willard.
Yeah. Oh.
He finally got shot. One thing that I liked, and a lot of people don't know this, but now they're starting to know is, alright, there's a lot going on up here. There always is, and it's scary in there, but, okay, so that scene where Marty is dressed up in his biohazard suit and he slams in the Van Halen tape, well, that was actually Eddie Van Halen playing. He just came up with the riff because they asked him, I mean, you're Van Halen, what can you do? Like, technically they didn't have the rights to their music, so Eddie Van Halen just hooked them up, and he just passed away not too long ago. But off the top of his head, he just went. So what you're hearing when he puts on the headphones and he plays it, that's Eddie Van Halen just rocking out. But I am Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan. I just pissed off so many people right there with that line. Says it in the movie, don't get mad at me. But when he comes, Marty, he comes running out and his shirt is untucked and he's like, Michael J. Fox can't open the soda bottle, so George just does it really quick and he's all in shambles. But later on, and I know I'm dissecting the movie and I shouldn't because it's just a movie, but nobody really, hey, Darth Vader, this homeboy visited me when I was a teenager. Now there's a movie about him. What's good? And I'm dissecting the movie now, and I shouldn't be. But then I started to realize, watching the movies, and as I got older, Marty doesn't do jack. At the beginning of Back to the Future Part 3, Marty turns to Doc and he goes, as soon as you replace the parts on the DeLorean and get it new tires, I'm going back and I'm going to get you. What does he do? He rips the fuel line in Back to the Future 3, 5 minutes after going back to the future.
But that's how we got the train.
Yes, I know, and actually, no, we're still on topic. Not too bad. We're doing okay. And I shouldn't say anything because of what Michael J. Fox as a person has gone through personally.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a knock on him at all. I just started to realize, Marty, what's going on here, dude? You bought the sports almanac and... but he does redeem himself at the end when he doesn't race Flea.
Mm-hmm.
So he saves himself from having a bad future.
What I will say though is, if anybody can get their hands on it, which I think it's on YouTube, so it shouldn't be too hard. There's actually bloopers that they made for the original movie where Michael J. Fox wears a hairnet and he gets all cholo and he's walking through this going, "Where is she?"
And he's with Doc.
It's pretty great.
Those are on the Blu-ray editions also. For a lot of people who don't know, but by now they should know, Michael J. Fox wasn't the original Marty McFly. Eric Stoltz was. But I think they were too weak. No, they actually shot a lot of the movie. And Michael J. Fox couldn't do it because he was doing the television show Family Ties at the time. So his schedule was really wonky. But they realized, Robert Zemeckis realized that it wasn't working with Eric Stoltz. Just the chemistry and the comedy, the timing wasn't there. So they made a deal with Michael J. Fox. Do you know this or?
Mm-mm.
So they made a deal with Michael J. Fox. A lot of his scenes were shot at night. If you've noticed, a lot of his scenes are shot at night. Because during the day, he was filming Family Ties. So when they would pick him up at the studio for Family Ties, he would sleep or learn his lines for Back to the Future. And then it was like that for about a month for him for Back to the Future. So if you watch Back to the Future and you pause it, when the camera's facing other people that aren't Marty and it's just the back of his head, that might be Eric Stoltz. So some of the footage with Eric Stoltz is still in the movie. It just happens quick, so you gotta keep an eye out for it.
That's another good actor.
Eric Stoltz is a good actor, don't get me wrong, but have you seen him in a comedy?
No. Actually, I think one of his best movies.
Pulp Fiction is not a comedy, no matter how hard you believe.
I was gonna say, I think one of the best movies I've ever seen him in is actually the Prophecy with Christopher Walken.
I would like, when it comes to my GPS, there's 3 people I would love to narrate my GPS. Christopher Walken and Vincent Price are 2 of them. And I would love Vincent Price to narrate my GPS. Just, oh, going all the way over there, are you? Why? Why, Vincent? What do you know? What do you know?
I'm just imagining Christopher Walken now. Ow! Ted Dyer. Oh, man.
Right? Right. Oh, after the red light, you gotta make a left. Don't be afraid to make that left.
Is the third person Kevin Conroy, to have him do his Batman for your directions?
No. Kevin Conroy is an awesome Batman / Bruce Wayne for the animated series, but I don't think, nah. I'll let everybody guess who the third person is. But I think those first 2 would be hilarious.
Can't keep Christopher Walken away. No. Oh, no. Look at you. Going to 7-Eleven.
Oh, you don't want to walk? But you know, to get back on track, so he's underrated, Thomas F. Wilson, Biff, because not only is he playing opposite of himself, and you know what's crazy is that he doesn't run into Christopher Lloyd, Doc Brown's character, until Back to the Future 3. But Doc knows so much about Biff because of everything that Marty's telling him. You know, but everybody that he plays, he has to play opposite of. Either it's himself, different versions of Marty, different versions of Leah Thompson. You know, it's just, and he's so good. And people wonder, don't get me wrong, he's been in a lot of other things too, and then he started doing a lot of voice work, and when you find out the voice work he's done, it's like, wow, that's him? I have he was in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie.
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was. He was also in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, Sponge Underwater. How to Train Your Dragon. He was He was in the TV series as a voiceover. Atlantis. He's done the Spectacular Spider-Man. He did Gargoyles, which I know everybody's starting to look at me. He was also one of the voices in Rio with the birds. You know, so he's kept himself busy.
I think, I'm not entirely sure, but because I know that he was one of the voice actors for Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Yep.
But I think he might have also done a couple of voices for the original Batman the Animated Series.
Yes, he was a guest. You know how they have guest appearance, guest voiceovers. So that's like, and he doesn't. Well, that's why I wanted to do this, because he's very. We've said in the beginning and all throughout, he's very underrated. But I can't see anybody else playing Biff.
No. Mm-mm. It's because he is Biff. I mean, that's
there are exactly there are people when you watch them in movies and in roles, and you try to picture somebody else in that role. You're like, nope, that's them. Yes. What?
I'm just thinking of like him as Biff, the different times he's been.
Yeah.
Biff.
He's been Biff a lot of different times.
I do think that my favorite version of him as Biff, or not as Biff, but as what is Biff's last name?
Tannen.
Tannen. My favorite Tannen is from the third one, when he has that big old handlebar mustache.
I like at the end. But you gotta remember, and there's one thing, Marty talks the way 80s Marty talks.
Mm.
So when they go back to the West, he's like, how about a forfeit? And then Biff's like, and he has to look at his friends, and his friends are like, it means you win without a fight. For real? Hey, you can't do that! And I love the fact, and it's so stupid, but I love the fact that Biff Tannen, with Cowboy Biff Tannen, like you said, with a handlebar mustache, and he goes, hey, you can't do that, dude! And he flat out just calls him dude. I don't know why that's so funny to me.
I just love him look at the other guy's like, what?
And then he starts to count. And his friends kind of holds up the number, and he's like, oh, is it? Joey, let's make some Waco juice.
So underrated, man.
But that's the thing, is that he's super underrated in those roles. And I say roles because he played a lot of iterations of Biff.
Big old handlebar mustache. Whatever, man. Did Marty in that one, did he actually call himself Clint Eastwood?
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
And he almost got hung for real. You knew about that one, right? Okay. So in Back to the Future 3, when Michael J. Fox is being dragged and Biff is saying, we have a new courthouse, and he's getting ready to hang Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox was like, yeah, sure, I'll just, because normally they'll have a harness, so it just looks. Well, Michael J. Fox just went, I'll just put my hand, it'll look authentic, I'll just put my hands right here, and I'll hold the rope, and we'll be good. So and he started to choke for real, and he realized he was in a little bit of trouble. But he was safe at the end of it. They didn't do another take, so sometimes you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful with stuff like that.
And that just like brings me back to the Crow.
That's
being careful.
That's a different topic for another day. Crow, Brandon Lee, great movie. Sad, very sad at what happened. I hope you all liked that. I mean, just like this video and laughed along with us. Click like, Leave a comment if there's anything you want us to see, you want us to talk about, whether it be movies or theater. One topic that we will get to eventually is Edward Albee. He's one of my favorite writers. Some people just blanked and are looking at me oddly. Edward Albee wrote Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Not my favorite play. My favorite play by Edward Albee is actually called The Zoo Story. But that is a topic for another day. So, Thomas F. Wilson, underrated, cool as hell. I heard he's a really nice guy in person.
I'm not surprised.
I wonder if he does. Hey, Marty. I wonder if he does that if you meet him. I want to meet him. Ask him to call me a butthead. No, I'm kidding.
I think I would get so nervous that I would actually laugh like Crispin Glover.
Alright. Well, that's it. Like, leave a comment. I'm on Instagram. Marshall's Place. I said it a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Anyways, we'll see you all on the next one. We got a good one for you on that next one. Did you do your homework?
I do a lot of homework.
Did you do what I asked you to do?
No, I didn't.
We'll see you all later.
It's my strong hand. Getting cold? Oh, but it's not cold out here. Coriolanus. I want to do that. There we go. Off we go.
So glad I hit record already.
Gotta have something for the tutorial.
Oh yeah.